think.
Saying upcoming.
Make sure it's up. Say something, Pink.
Hey, time. Here we go. I see myself.
You see it?
Yes.
Turn my volume down. I got a lot of notifications right now.
Do you? Something big going on?
No.
Hope it's not the authorities reporting to Lake Mary.
No. And keep the cop that likes to smash black women in the cars away from me. He's gonna take all my women.
That would be a tragedy, wouldn't it?
All right.
Sharing is caring, Bubba. That's funny, man.
That's fucking hilarious.
Out there representing the blue.
If they don't fire him, then I chose the wrong profession. I could have been a police officer if that's what I was fun about.
You should have. But you got to go after the white women.
What's the move there, though? Is it like maybe they met off of a traffic stop, and then
yeah,
maybe she seduces him a little bit, and they get out of the ticket, and he's the one cop who actually takes her up on it.
The one cop? You think there's only one?
No.
I want to say, I wonder how many times that happens, like that exact scenario, like where the person gets pulled over and they make other arrangements for that violation. That's funny though. I don't know.
All right, let's go. Where you at? Yeah.
Dr. King had a dream, me, I had a premonition. I'ma stack a couple million when I use my intuition. Mix my spirit with my vision, the knowledge with the wisdom. Add facts, subtract fiction, never promote division. I'ma always be committed to the people. If you're listening, you can hear it, you can fit it. Use your senses, you can sense it. Good vibes I distribute, food for thought. I'ma whip it, elevation I exhibit. Going quantum with the physics. Got the prana for your mama, Usalama for the children. Santi Sana to the karma. My energy is shifting, ripping beats is my religion. Living free is my decision. GP, are you with me? I'm a man on a mission. If you're hating, you can miss me. Got no company for mirrors at the table with the mystics. My creation is a mission. Never blurting, not a gimmick. Never worried about a critic. I'm concerned with making history because my purpose is to get it. Yo! One. Jason.
This is really no concept. This lyrical bomb threat. I'm C4, they CB4, no contest. I'm UFC, so be a good sport, no contact. You off-brand like great values at Walmart. The original Transformers, the all-spark. You can get it up, just like Hallmark. Card, them talk pounds with all my dogs. Them JBM off that wall. Susan up like me black. H2K, man, we was buzz at. Embrace and read, man, we flash back. My team all one, old man, says a lot of hashbags. Don't punch this nigga, don't love that. This is what we did. Then they follow stop. Oh yeah, you love me, big. Get the ground breaking these kids. Oh yeah, it's all the lyric. Hell, bro, this is the dog. My legend is here, yeah.
Backstopping in the 2 feet on that nigga sweet. You feel me? I ain't never been the one to talk about it. I'ma do what I said. A lot of niggas say that they did it, they never did it. On the back and forth, bitches, you never win in it. Before a nigga go, show you playing tennis. Before I used to go, I knew I couldn't afford it. How did I got 40? I missed designer Jordan. Busy fighting in Jordan, grass green over here. You can get it at that G, cash clean over here. Probably one of the really doing it in my city. Yeah, nigga, get your head, she getting litty. I promise $1 is someone in it open. My father said, never say nothing in it. Nowadays, they specimen in word. 29, probably they pimpin' when I turn 33. Say you never heard of me, but I know 9 ain't trippin' on my right until I'm right at 30. Cause what I heard of you is tough. insecure. They say what they gon' do to me, well, fuck nigga, do it, ain't shining. When you see me out, I be with fine shit. And kick niggas forgot, I'm gonna remind them. See me, say I don't know what they ain't believe me. I put it on the bitch like a DJ.
All right, welcome back on the bench podcast with Bubba and Bank, home of sports, music, and mayhem. Don't forget we're available on all, and I do mean all, podcast streaming platforms, including here on YouTube. Please like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff.
Be engaged. We need
man.
engagement.
We really do.
Not the kind that leads to matrimony.
We appreciate all the engagement we can get, and of course, we still have shirts. For sale.
I'm wearing mine today.
Yeah.
Looking sharp.
We have access to jerseys. We also have shorts now. All of that good stuff,
have
man.
Access to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Expanding our product line.
That's right.
All righty. I'm going to briefly get into what you guys just heard. That's a couple of guys from the Orlando Rap Tournament. That's about roughly, I want to say 50 to 60 guys. I may be.
There's that many?
That may be a little on the high end, but we're going to get there. Really quick. I wanted to give some unfortunate shout outs. We lost a on the bench viewer, all right, and Big Ruben Miller, man. He passed away recently here. Wanted to give a quick shout out there. He always, was watching the show, would ask me about it, engage, all of that good stuff. So prayers go out to his family and things like that, man. And I also recently lost an uncle, man, a couple of days ago. The oldest uncle, and one thing, Uncle Sambo is his name. It's Uncle Sambo. That's a name too, man.
That is a name.
Matter of fact, that's my Uncle Lilo's oldest brother.
There you go. Is Uncle Leo still alive?
Uncle Lilo? Yeah, Uncle Lilo is the baby. So
okay,
if life goes how it's supposed to go, he'll be the last to go.
Just not in the pants with the baby.
Yeah, man. But Uncle Sambo used to always tell me every time I see him, he tell me to stay away from the crazy chicks, man. He because his only memory of me and a girl is it's always just the one girl he knew that was from Edenville. He used to just terrorize me way back when I was much younger. And he just always tell me, man, to stay away from the crazy girls moving forward, man. So,
you'd think with his passing you might start listening to him. It's never too late, Bubba.
Never too late, man. Never too late. Now, like I said, at the top of the On the Bench podcast, on the top of the show that we started out there, and of course we've had Keith Chapman on, one of the organizers of this Orlando Rap Tournament. That was a few weeks ago. Okay, about a month ago now. Time moves, man.
It does.
And he was on here. We kind of previewed the Orlando Rap Tournament, what it would be about. And my eyes are bad here. So let me see how many names are on this list. Those were just a couple of guys who have went in this first round, for sure. And I see about roughly 30 names. So I was a little far on that 60. What I said, 60 or so. So yeah, man. And we have some friends of the show, man. Guys who have been on this show. They are on here. We have Muse and Jason. They're on the same side. They're friends, and they're on the same side.
That's tough.
So they advance, which I completely expect them to do. They should meet each other soon.
Muse was our first live musical performance.
Yes, and guess who else is on that same side?
Who else?
Our man Tuck.
Really?
Tuck is on that side. They're not facing each other in this first round, but they're all on the same side.
Yeah,
so
Tuck's in Lithuania right now.
Oh yeah, but he has to send his video in by tomorrow. He has to send his in. So
he's got plenty of time over there. He has like actual goats in his backyard.
Oh man, over there in Lithuania.
Yeah, it's wild.
Is he going? We'll talk about it. Also, a guy named Zay Tariq, who we're supposed to have on the podcast soon. He's on that same side. Wow. Now, they're all on the same side, guys that we know. On this other side, we don't know anybody but Bay Bubs.
Well, that makes it easy for us.
It makes it easy to root.
Who we're rooting for.
Yeah. Now, there is a really good guy the only other guy that I know of by name, a lot of these guys I don't know, the only other guy I know by name that is on Bay Bub's side is Bally. And Bally is really good. He's a big, husky guy. He's Rick Ross with more bars. And it kind of stacked up the way it should be. Bay Bubs is a number 1 seed, and Bally is a number 2 seed.
Okay. So
it should shake out to be them in the championship. And it's very interesting. And I don't like to toot my own horn here, but Bay Bubs, I kind of like I've been really championing him to Orlando Media Group and to Keith.
Yeah.
To the point where they didn't know of Bay Bubs before me, like at all.
Okay.
And all of a sudden he's a number one seed because I'm sending all these videos. Now they're tapped into his music. They're looking at him on Apple Music and on YouTube, and they're like, "Oh, this guy, it really is good." You know
His
what I mean?
freestyle here was something else.
It was something else,
and it felt like it could go for another 10 minutes.
He didn't want to stop. I had to stop him, man. So yeah, he's over there. So shout out to all the guys that are in it, and we our friends of the show we're rooting for. So you guys, man. Don't make us proud. Don't let us down.
Team on the bench. Don't let us down.
Don't let us down, man.
That's funny, though. I was watching the videos, though. It is really interesting because you're presenting a video that you're recording on your own.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have that vibe, that energy that you get from standing, across the stage from the man you're going against, which is different. And it also, I think, creates for such a diversity of style.
Yeah.
Like, everyone, because you're doing it in your own realm, you're going to kind of be original and kind of hope that you hit the mark, which I thought was fascinating, and to see how this sort of stacks up.
No, that's for sure. That's for sure. Now, of course, here on the bench, man, we have a full, nice, great show as always for you guys. We have FSU and Deion back to prominence. We're going to talk about that.
But not together.
Not together, unfortunately. The band is not back together. But we have Russell Wilson, some comments by his coach that are trending. We have some comments made of former President Barack Obama that kind of struck a few chords here and is trending.
Struck a few other things.
Team USA, they continue to advance, and we'll talk about their next game and some of the NBA players that they're going to be playing against, if you guys are not aware of. And a lot more other things as well, man, on today's show for sure. All right, let's go ahead and start with Deion and FSU, man. All right, of course we already know 2 big wins in Week 1 for FSU and for Colorado, the team that Deion Sanders coaches, and they both. Well, Florida State was already, of course, in the top 25. I think they've risen as high as number 4.
Yeah, I think we were 8 going into the game, and now we're 4 on one poll, I think 5 in the other. Right. You and I watched the Colorado game together.
Yeah, we did.
With my guy Sarv at the Gators.
Yeah, and they've entered the top 25 after their big win over TCU. Who was in the national championship last year. It was some roster turnover, but they were still ranked heading into that first game. And Colorado, man, got it done, knocked them out. Now, just to tackle Deion first here before we get to Florida State is, like it says right there, are they to stay in the top 25? Do you foresee Colorado staying in this top 25, or do you think it's an oversight too soon? Too much too soon?
I could see them staying for a couple of reasons. I think you got to look at the game and wonder, why and how. TCU and Colorado both were among the top 5 teams in roster turnover from last season to this season. TCU had some talent, but they came up short in this game. Colorado's best players played great. They really did. But the disconcerting thing, I think if you look at Colorado, they have 2 really high-level guys, and then they have some other guys that are on a pretty good tier with like Horn and the running back who had a couple long TD catches. But Travis Hunter's as good as anybody in the country. He played 129 snaps in that game, which is going back to the days of Champ Bailey. I mean, he's not just like Deion himself and Charles Woodson and some other guys dabbled on both sides of the ball. My man, like Champ Bailey, is playing both sides of the ball. And then Shadur was very good, put up some gaudy stats. And they have a lot of weapons and a good scheme offensively. What happened, though, with that win is you look down the road at this schedule, and it's not as imposing as you might think. Because you see, this is going to be a team that will score points. Yeah. Pretty much score points on anybody. The other side of that, though, is they are a team that are going to give up points. They win a 45-42 game, and that included like 2 deep red zone interceptions for them. So they could have easily given up another 14 points. They didn't stop TCU very much at all. They did late when they needed to their credit, and that's why they won the game. But this is a team that's going to concede a lot of yardage and a lot of points. And I'm not convinced that their trenches are where they need to be like a top 15 or 10 team. But I think there's enough there. There's enough firepower that they are going to score points. They're going to be in every game, and they're playing out west. And how is football played out west? Exactly like they're playing
on the offensive side of the ball.
You know, it's not a trenches game out there. It's a high-scoring game. There's a lot of shootouts.
Played on the edges.
Yep, and they are a team built to do that.
Now, did you have a last point there? That's fine. But I wanted to mention, of course, we know how big of a name and attraction that Deion is. But look, think of this stat here. Going into the next game, they played Nebraska, I'm pretty sure, right?
Right.
There are more, I'm somewhat of a gambler, man. I shouldn't be as much as I lose. I went 1-1.
You're a bad gambling man.
I went 1-1 last week. My goal this year is just to just chill out a little bit. A couple bets a week. Don't do too much. Even if you win both bets, continue to stay. I'm being committed. But anyhow, all right. Colorado's next game against Nebraska, there are more bets from the public, from each human being. There are more bets on Colorado this game than 14 NFL teams that are coming up in this. Like, that's insane. College, and to give you guys a full idea, college football, as far as per game numbers, as far as who bets on it, they don't come close to NFL football as far as the number of bets like per ticket. They don't come close.
Well, this is the other part of the story. Like, Deion has again won. Like, he went to Colorado. There's a lot of skepticism. Why Colorado? He comes out in week 1 and beats a ranked team on the road, and it's just a testament to everything he's about. And they looked comfortable in the setting. The team played with great confidence. And then for the rest of the weekend, that was the story.
Yeah.
He is dominating college football. Personally, I can tell you I'm probably going to get fed up with it pretty soon. It's just too overwhelming. There's only so many ways you can suck a dick. And when you run out, it's just, come on, man, what are we going to do? So I don't get it. I mean, I don't have the tolerance for it, but there's a million.
Throat goat.
Yeah, there's a million. Maybe she needs to be Deion's new hype man. But the public is going to continue to digest this. And, I mean, you saw it like on a small level with Jackson State. Like, Jackson State was nowhere on the college football map or radar.
No.
And all last year, Deion was everywhere, whatever. This is amplified to a whole nother level. You can make the argument that coming out of week 1, he has 2 Heisman Trophy candidates on the roster.
They weren't on the list before. Now they are. They are on the betting list now to be. You can bet them to be the Heisman winner
for sure. And
Travis.
And this is it's just blowing up. And he's making the provocative comments. And everything is rolling, and again, it's really attractive. And I said this. I'm gonna cash in the receipts on this. I do not understand why Colorado got him, and I don't understand. At the end of the day, they were bold enough to do it, but to me, the fact that better programs weren't bold enough to do it, they will live to regret that day.
Yeah.
And apparently, like Paul Feinbaum, the SEC Stan, he was out there already saying, he's talked to ADs and so forth, and there's going to be a number of schools that are ready to throw some unprecedented stuff at Deion at the close of this season to try and get him out of Colorado. And that's a conversation for another day.
Right.
But he is the biggest story in college football. And and it's simultaneously spectacular, but it's also somewhat interesting in the sense that what he is and what he does is not repeatable. There's not a lesson to be learned from this. He's such a unique human being and unique character that you can't do what he's doing.
Yeah.
You can't just go find a great NFL player and push him into this. It won't work. There's something about this guy that he's special. And I mean, he was special as a player. He's proving to be special as a coach, but beyond a coach, he's this just like insatiable brand that is literally going to swallow college football. You're not going to be able, and I don't see them taking a terrible nosedive. And even if he does, it's going to be like the proverbial train wreck where you're not going to be able to take your eyes off of that. And every media outlet in the country is going to want to dissect it and figure out what went wrong, if anything goes wrong. So, it's no lose. In week one, the brand has swallowed college football. And whether they have a good season and stay in the top 25 or go higher, that's going to be the biggest story in the country.
It really is.
And if it unravels in some capacity this year, that'll be the biggest story in college football. The season's over as far as that goes.
Yeah. With this big win here, has he already set expectations for a great season? Because coming into this season, we're like, hey, if he can if he can finish the season with 4 or 5 losses, that's a huge win. Then you go into the next year. But did this initial win here set expectation like, oh, well, we need a 2-loss season now, maybe right outside the playoff race. That's where
This is the beauty of what he's done. He has increased the expectations, but we're still in a window where they're not runaway expectations.
Yeah.
And like this could be reposited like easily. If he gets to 7-5, let's say, you're probably maybe not in the top 25 at that point. You're going to go to a bowl, but you're like, we did some amazing stuff this year, and we're bringing all our important guys back, and we're going to add more guys, and you set the stage. Literally the only thing that can derail him would be like a losing season, like a 4-8 or 4-9. And you look at that damn schedule. I don't see that happening. I really don't. So, to me, he's already set like a really comfortable floor, and the ceiling's open to go where he wants it to go.
Yeah.
And he's, virtually in close to a non-lose situation.
Yeah. That's what I think too. And just like the rest of the country, we're gonna stay in taps with Deion, and then on the
Even
on
if
the
you
top
don't want to,
storylines.
the taps are going to tap you.
Even if you don't want to, the taps are going to tap you. Now, Florida State, they did some tapping of their own.
Tap that ass.
Made Florida State alum Pink very happy. He was at the game, right?
I was at the game. I was in homicidal mode. It was fantastic. It really was.
Who connects those two things?
What?
He says, I was in homicidal mode, and it was fantastic.
It was, man. All right, I just said, so I had my 2 college roommates, guys that I met my freshman year, stayed friends with for over 30 years now. The fact of the matter is we have not all been in the same place physically in over 25 years.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, and so this weekend we were to go to this game. And, one of the guys brought a son. I brought 2 of my kids. And then I brought some other friends. Juan was with us and my cousin Carlton. And we go to this game, and it's, like you're reconnecting with people. We've talked here and there, but not like when you're in person, it's just different. And so we were having a great time. And we had they had the college stories that they were telling my kids and Carlton. And then my kids and Carlton had the stories for the last 25 years that they were telling them, and everybody was just like having a great time.
Yeah.
But we go to the game, and these guys, they know me so well. It's like at some point, like this reality hit. It's like, dude, if we lose, this is going to be like a really bad night. Like Pink's not going to handle this well. Like this is going to go to a dark place. And like, it was kind of like an acknowledged thing. And, so we're at the game, and it was a bit of a rough first half. We had some penalties and stuff. And when I said I was in homicidal mode, I'm like just literally from my seat, double middle fingers to Brian Kelly. I want to watch his head explode or come off of his body or something. It was just pure violence. And then we grab control of the game late, win going away. Everybody's just thrilled. And there was just a moment like my roommate Brian, he had his son who's 13, Seth. I had 2 of my kids. Now, my daughter went to a bowl game with me last year when Florida State was down here. My other son has not gone to an FSU game since he was really pretty young and doesn't have a good recall. And the 3 of us, the 3 roommates, were going nuts. We're living and dying by this. And it was this thing where it's like, it dawned on me. It's like, our kids, like, they've watched us and heard us yell at TVs for this whole lifetime. And, like, now they were seeing why.
Yeah.
This is why they're so passionate. Like, here's these 3 guys with, like, regular jobs and, ostensibly successful, and they're losing their shit wearing matching shirts on a Sunday night in September. And, but, like, it's like, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's a special, special experience to be a part of that. And it's not unique to Florida State, but, like, to me, anybody that's gone to a big football school in the South, it's the same feeling. You just change the colors of your uniform, maybe change your chant, but that's what it is. And that gets inside your soul and it stays there. Even when times are bad, you still watch the games. And then when times are good, it just doesn't get better.
Got to ride the high?
Yeah, ride the hell out of it. No, it was amazing, man. And it just was like, there's just... It was great, and it was great to share it with, like, so many people that mean a lot to me. And it just was a great experience, a great win. And I'll say this, much like the Colorado situation, you win that first game against what appears to be a good opponent, and you look at the rest of your schedule, and it kind of opens up a little bit.
Yeah.
And you're like, if we don't blow this, we're probably going to be standing around at the end with a chance. We started doing the immediate calculations, and then Clemson goes out and loses the next day, and
to Duke basketball.
Yeah, to Duke basketball. And you're looking. I mean, Miami doesn't seem great. Florida seems down. There's no game to me unless we start dropping games, that we should be the underdog in. Until you get.
And that's
to
how I look at it. It's not necessarily wins and losses when you're forecasting, looking at the schedule down the line, but it's like, okay, what is the game we're going to be the underdog in?
Yeah.
And if we're not, we got a good shot. The guys just don't have to blow it, like you said earlier.
Right.
Yeah.
You play up to your abilities.
Now, I do say, and this is before we'll get back to the game really quickly here, but Miami is going to be tricky. It's a rivalry, and they're okay. Of course, they're not great. They're not, even if you say good, I don't know. Some people say they're good. Some people say they're not. But it's tricky because it's a rivalry, and they are okay, right? So you put that in the win, take that for what you want. But outside of that, I looked at the schedule too, and I'm just like,
I looked at it objectively. I'm not looking at it like, is there a scenario where we could possibly lose?
Right.
There is for a couple of these games, but I'm also looking at it from the perspective of, okay, we should be fine.
Right.
I mean, there's no. To me, if we lose the rest of our regular season, we beat ourselves.
Yeah.
That's how I look at this. And teams do that all the time, so it can happen. But that's the thing. But I was also another kind of thought going back in time a little bit. When I was at Florida State, it was during the dynasty years, and so most of the games on the schedule that you go to, live on campus, you fully expect to win. And like, you literally didn't think it was possible to lose. And then there was always, 2 or 3 games each year that, we're on the fence. Anything could happen. And that's what makes a game like Saturday or Sunday night so special. The real possibility of losing was there. And we knew that we were good, but you could still get beat by a good team. And when you come through in that situation, it is a catharsis.
Yeah. There's
no other way to describe it. I mean, there's just an elation, a sense of deep satisfaction, and just, all right, man, we're who we thought we were.
Yeah. Now, like you said, you are who you thought you are. Jordan is definitely right in the thick of things as far as Heisman. It's week 1, of course.
Yeah.
But we had those expectations. That's why I remember we forecasted FSU a few weeks ago. That was one of the questions. We said, as long as the team success is there, which it should be.
Can be, yeah.
He's going to be in the thick of things and right on schedule. He is, right? So how do you see that going as far as in comparison to the other guys in week 1?
I'm a big believer that the Heisman Trophy is lost more than it's won in modern times. I don't think that it's truly about being the best player, because we've seen guys like win it one year and be arguably a better player the next year and not win it.
Yeah.
It could happen to Caleb Williams this year. And so it's really about losing. It is like like a pageant almost. You go out every week and play, and you put together your resume. But anything can you lose it in the sense that if Colorado drops a couple of games, like those guys are going to fall off the radar.
Well,
if and Travis's thing is we have to win.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's going to make some fun plays, but I don't think anybody thinks he's the best player in the country, like not necessarily like the top draft pick. That's probably going to be Caleb Williams. And then, it's all about just continue to win and being the guy at the end, and that, Caleb maybe has a bad performance and they drop a game or two, and maybe Colorado hits a rough patch at
That's
some
what you
point
mean
in
by
their
lose it.
schedule.
Yeah. And that happens, like you said, literally damn near every year.
Every year, because
Yeah.
and because the last several years, like you get to the end of it, and by the time they're having a ceremony, there's a certain inevitability to who's going to win it.
Right. There is.
You feel it every year, and you didn't necessarily feel it in week 1 or 2 or even 5. But it's just something happened to every other candidate along the way. Maybe a guy, got hurt, missed 3 games or this or that, and okay, kind of the last guy standing.
I'm going to tell you what I feel, though. I think Caleb is going to get an extra couple inches of rope. Like,
in what respect?
He's everywhere, man. Like
all the commercials and everything.
He's everywhere.
Yeah.
And he's he's a likable guy. Like
Seems like it. He cut his hair too.
Yeah.
No, I wonder.
He's
like,
doing
what is that?
He
what
has
does that mean?
he has a PR group. I'm sure of it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure of it, man.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that wasn't just a casual
It
decision.
was not a casual decision. He has a PR team. They're coaching him each way of how it goes. And then
he's in the Heisman House commercials.
he's in the Heisman House commercials. There's news today that broke yesterday or today. We're going to talk about it later in the show. He may stay in college. He loves USC. He loves college. He loves competing in college.
That's not why.
Oh, no. The NFL, it depends on what NFL
Yeah,
team
the
has
why
the top pick.
and what drives that, and this is part of the new landscape. The NFL thing, the worst record in the league gets the top pick. There's no lottery. There's no whatever. And so theoretically, and what his dad said is, you're set up to fail.
Yeah.
You're going to the worst team in the league, the worst organization in the league, and you're supposed to make it all right. And so now that the economics are different, and with the commercials and other things and being in LA, he's probably going to make a couple billion this year. And that takes away the urgency
right?
to go play, for a bad team. And so what I think they're doing is they were just kind of keeping their options open and making a statement of intent,
which is 100% fair. I mean, you just can't blame the guy. But like I said, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But to close the loop on Florida State and Colorado here, you got any last things you want to say there?
Not just, game on. Shout out to Deion, but shout out to Mike Norvell too. I mean, he's got that team like in a special place. I was talking to my dad about it, and the way they're able to hit the portal every season, bring in good people that have
useful,
immediate impact. And what I was trying to express to my dad the other day, it's bigger than that. Like, he gets these guys in, and they're here for the summer, and by game 1, they're like leaders and fabric players in this team. I don't know what's going on or how that's done, but there is some sort of design or intent to the way he operates in integrating people into the group, and he's got it on lock right now.
Did he have success at his last stop? Where was he?
He was at Memphis. He was there for a couple of seasons, and like his last season there, I think they lost one game. They won the conference, and they won the bowl game, but he had already taken our job. No, they lost the bowl game. They won the conference title game against Cincinnati and Luke Fickell, and then he took the FSU job, and the interim guy coached him in the bowl.
That's not always a sure thing, though, because that's a natural progression for smaller D1 guys who have success in either a year or two or a sustained amount of time, and they go up to a bigger D1. A lot of those guys fail. We saw it at UCF.
No, there's something
we may be seeing it at Florida. The guy who came from Louisiana, Billy Napier. So
there's something about Norvell, and it goes to when he got the job at FSU. He's coming from Memphis. One of my high school classmates, Leslie Johnson, shout out to her. She lives in Memphis. And she reached out to me when we got him. And she's not a huge football fan. She enjoys sports, but she's like, you guys got a great coach. And, again, she's not a Memphis grad. She's a FAMU grad. She's not somebody that, is crazy into sports where you know everything. But for her to say that, I took that to heart. And what I took it to mean is there's something a little different about this person as a person that makes her say that.
Yeah.
She's not somebody that's so into football that, man, I love the way they run, their third down packages. and that's pretty much what he's delivered.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, man, you listen to the players talk and they're all saying the same things. There's a deep culture that's going on, and the crazy thing is he's making it easy for new people to embrace it.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. Well, we'll definitely see, where they go with this, and Florida State and Colorado, and you're rooting for Florida State. I'm not, but what can you do if you have a great team?
We can welcome you onto the bandwagon.
Shit. We'll be back in a couple of years, the Gators, hopefully. It's funny because every year I enjoy the Facebook and IG banter between Florida State, Miami, and Florida, and so I'm putting out my whatever, just a joke on Florida State hate, and you got all the Florida State fans on my post, and like yesterday, I know Lester, he was saying we were in a thing, and he was saying I can't wait to get the Gators in November. We're gonna skin that Gator. And I replied, I said, man, by the time we get to y'all, there won't be no Gator left, man.
Just some bones.
it's all going to be bones by the time we get to y'all, man. Once again, you're on the bench podcast with Bubba and Pink, home of sports, music, and mayhem. We're available on all, and I do mean all, podcast streaming platforms, including here on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I wanted to give a quick shout out here. There is a really, really interesting and dope fire event going on Sunday, the 10th here, all right, in Orlando. It's from 1 o'clock until everything is gone. This is a giveaway. Food, books, clothes, all of that stuff, man, for the Orlando people. They're calling it Feed the Streets, okay? They are accepting donations and sponsors right now, okay? You can go to feedthestreetsgiveaway.com. You can also text 404. All righty. What is that? 590-8232. The number's on the screen, so don't trust my eyes. Trust your eyes, okay?
Screenshot and blow it up if you have to.
That's right.
Wouldn't be my first time.
All right. So, yes, check them out. All righty. BCM. And really, go out, help, support, donate, do something. All right? It is for the streets of Orlando.
Community engagement, baby.
Community engagement. There you go. All right. All right. Let's go here, man. Let's get to some fun stuff.
It wasn't fun humiliating Brian Kelly.
I'll tell you what. There is a let me quickly explain here, because when I click the thing, it's going to go automatically to the video. So there was a cop in Maryland. Let's go to the cop.
Yes.
There's a cop in Maryland who, you may have seen it. It's really trending on social media right now. He got caught in broad daylight with this lady, and it's like she's going. You can see in the video and in the pictures, she's going to his cop car in the back seat. They're in there for a certain amount of time, then they go out, and there's a couple times that the cameras have caught these guys, and the boat is rocking. He's on duty, and he's a guy that he's with somebody, okay? Well, there's a relationship or married. That's up to you to find out. All right. So this particular video, this is a lady who's kind of explaining the afterfall, right? Because the fallout, because the lady that he's with responded, okay? And then the lady that he's screwing in the backseat of the cop car responded to her, okay? So I'm going to play as much as I can, and then we're going to come back and we're going to react to it.
Because, y'all, this wouldn't be a story if it didn't get messier. So shout out to No Jumper, because they posted that the wife of the Maryland cop that got caught with another woman speaks out. But, y'all, that's not all. The mistress spoke out, too. Okay, so the wife's name is Paula Marlette, seen right here with the red dreads. And the mistress happened to be Virginia Pinto? Seen right here. Okay, so the wife said, "Thank you to everyone. And yes, this is very difficult time for me and my kids. As embarrassing and painful as this is, please check in on us. We need the support and the love, most of all, the respect from the community and our families." She goes on to say, "Yes, I know what's been going on. And no, I am not updating anyone on the situation after today. Virginia's husband, the mistress, left her a long time ago because she cheated. So she and my husband decided to do this behind my back for years, honey." She goes on to say that, "I'm not seeking anyone else's input. I don't need anyone's opinion. My life is my life. I will make decisions accordingly. I love you all, except for you, Virginia." Because you can rot in child. Child. Now, Virginia has something to say. She goes on to say, "Not that I owe anyone an explanation. This girl has been cheating on her husband for a while now herself." Y'all. She goes on to say, "I know everything. And everyone, look, this is life. And y'all know nothing." She goes on to say that, "I've done nothing wrong." You ain't done nothing wrong, girl. You cheating on your husband with a married. Come on. You ain't done nothing wrong. She goes on to say, "All I want to say is y'all have the whole info wrong. Paula Marlette isn't saying the whole story, which I understand, but please don't be mad at me because your husband wants me." This can't be real. This cannot be real. I'm going to get it here first. I swear. I'm going to be on it. I'm going to get on my Zoom.
She's very animated. But yes, so that's the gist of everything that's going on, right? So my first takeaway, I know we talked about it a little bit pre-show. I got a couple of takeaways. Number one, if you watch the actual IG picture, I tried to do the best I could with these pictures. There's a couple of pictures and videos online. This lady is thick, man. Yeah. Whatever you think about the face, you think about the face. But this is a thick lady, man. She would have got me too. Okay, that's the first takeaway. Second takeaway is, you're in broad daylight, you're a police officer. You gotta know better than this. I almost think you're an idiot. Looks like you may have did some time in the service too with this top right picture. Maybe you're a little bit more than a police officer, but you're just an idiot for this because you're in broad daylight. People are always watching police officers just to say, okay, I hope this guy stays over there and doesn't come over here. I got like a gram of weed on me or whatever. So like they're always watching police officers. You're never not watched, especially if you're in broad daylight in public areas. It's not like you're somewhere in the woods or something. Like, what are you doing?
Well, what is this area though?
It's a common area. Like if you watch the IG video, it's like
an apartment complex or a park.
So the first video I saw is like in a complex because she's going to her car. Looks like she's getting something out, and then she's quickly running back to his and getting in the back seat. The other one,
practice some safe sex.
She went to go grab a condom.
Yeah.
The other video, I can't really tell where they were at, but in the other video, it was like some kids playing. And the person, so it looks like, yeah. And the person is like, you can see the person is filming. You can't see the person who's filming it, but there's like kids running around him. So I'm thinking it's a playground or something. So you're like across the street from a public playground or whatever. Maybe you're on duty trying to, you maybe on duty watching the playground, making sure there are no,
sexual predators.
Yeah. And speaking of, you're not a predator, but you're doing sexual stuff. So I those are my quick first takeaways when I'm watching these videos here.
Yeah, no, she was thick for sure. I agree with that takeaway. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I do agree. If you really think about it, there is an eye on police. When a cop car pulls anywhere, people are looking like, what's going on? Is this person going to, harass me? Are they going to pull me over? Like, what is going on? So, yeah, it's tough to think that people wouldn't be looking at you and wouldn't start recording if they thought anything interesting was happening. So, yeah, poor judgment for sure. Probably should have found a more sparsely populated area to undertake this action.
Ray commented and say he caught us just in time. He say it's too funny. It's like two more videos too. that I haven't seen that I was talking about there. So yeah, I definitely have to find those.
What's the move here? Is it like the same video shooter, like, or are these multiple?
That'll
people,
be really
like,
interesting.
Coming out of the woodwork, like, hey, I got a video of that guy too.
I never thought of that. I think it's more interesting if it's one person. Like this one person who maybe caught the first time, and now his only sole duty or goal in
life is to follow the action.
Yeah, just following the action.
But what if this is like a turn on for the video guy?
Oh, that's
his
another
thing, man. He's kind of into it.
He could be into it.
He enjoys cop porn.
Cop porn.
New category.
He's trying to create a new category in Pornhub.
Right, that's right.
Hey, you want some money? You got to get a new category, man.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of Shark Tank, man. They invest in people with new ideas.
This guy, man. This is so like, yeah, we're worried about like one guy shooting President Kennedy. Now we got a conspiracy over how many guys we have shooting cop porn in the greater Maryland area.
Cop porn, man.
Why couldn't have this made it onto like Cops, the show?
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. But I mean, that's just the act. Then we get like the whole soap opera behind it, which is just
We haven't even got to that.
I know. It's a whole part 2 on this thing.
With the women.
Yeah. I mean, when you first watch a video, your first thought is this. My first thought was this like some sort of like pulls this woman over and it turns into a weird, because I mean, I've read stories before where like, people will do stuff to get out of a ticket, or an officer might pressure somebody into doing something against their will. Like, you kind of what's going on with these videos. But then I guess the ladies cleared all that up for us. This is some good old fashioned cheating.
What do you think about what's really the point of the wife saying anything? Like other than maybe you want some attention for some reason. Well, like, and not being negative. I'm saying like, okay, she feels she was wrong, then maybe she was wrong. We don't know because the other lady's saying that she's cheating, so who knows who's wrong. Not speaking on that part. I'm just saying, what's the point of you coming out and saying anything? Releasing a statement? What?
Here's, I guess, the difficulty. Like, if this was simply something that happened in the community, I don't see it. It's a grandstanding move to post it. But this thing has gone viral. Like, there's people across the country now, whether you know him or not know him, like, that's your guy and this is what he's doing. It's kind of like, at some level, I almost feel that there's some need to address it.
Okay.
Like, to not, the manner in which she chose to do it, the words that she used, we could quibble with that. But I do see an area where this is like gone across the country and I'm the other person here. Do I want to just like be the silent person? And who knows? I mean, there could be people like knocking on the door saying, can we get a statement? Like, who knows?
Who knows?
Well, like,
yeah.
locally, but maybe it was her attempt to like kind of get in front of this and say, hey, here's what it is, and get your side out. And I can understand that on some level.
Okay.
That, suddenly I'm involved in something that's nationwide and it's a runaway freight train. I do want to be heard on that.
Now that's fair. Now, when at the end, she kind of not attacks the other lady, but like, I don't care if she dies or whatever she said.
All up to everybody except
her.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so now that invokes the other lady to respond. She feels the need, oh, you diss me, I need to come out and say something now.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And now, and also, the whole world may be against me. I'm known as the lady who ruined an household or whatever, right? So, okay, so maybe she, is in the right to respond. But at the same time, it's like, hey, you're talking about, oh, he really wants me over you, and this, but he's screwing you in the backseat of a truck in broad daylight, like.
If he really wants,
if he really wants, he's gonna use his vacation time. He's gonna lie and say he has training in Memphis. He has shooting cop training. Like, I don't need to shoot black people anymore. That's the training we have, and I'm gonna be gone for a week or two, and then he'll take you there. Like, these are the things people would do. Not I don't know.
No. Well, what I would say is, like, and this is where we were saying, like, you can argue about the way that the wife, like, the words she used to do what she did.
Yeah.
Like, clearly she takes, like, that last little dig at the very end. To be perfectly honest with you, my opinion, like, if you're doing this to get your side of this out because you feel it's just run away and you need to be heard, like, leave the last sentence out. You know, if you keep it like quiet and professional in a way, state your case, you're disappointed, you want privacy, etc., leave it at that, you kind of win the respect game. You look like the victim here, which, I mean, in some of them, I'm sure you might be. But then when you throw that extra little dig, to me, it was probably irresistible to her. Like, it just, she couldn't avoid doing it.
Low hanging fruit.
Yeah, low hanging fruit. And then the other girl responds, and like, her entire response is like unnecessary and stupid. I mean, her entire response is something that you see on a dumb person's Facebook page. Like, you know, just trying to have a go at somebody and say stuff that just never needs to see the light of day. Like, who wants who or whatever.
Right.
You know, it is what it is. I mean, the reality, if your relationship, any of these relationships, the cop and his wife, that one's too far gone if he's nailing a chick in the squad car. And then if you're getting nailed in a squad car, you're not really on the varsity. And, you know, you need to come to grips with that too.
That's it. I think that does it for this.
We could counsel these people, I think.
I think so.
Just kind of, hey, you're not what this thing you think this is.
I think so.
But you felt strongly before the show that this guy should be fired.
Yeah, he needs to be let
That's
go.
a whole nother category.
Just on ignorance alone. You know, stupidity.
This is not the sort of level of brilliance we want from our law enforcement officers.
Not at all, man.
Yeah.
It's just a lack of judgment. And if you lack in judgment here, I mean, who knows what other lack of judgment you know?
I would like, bringing to the point that you said, I would love to see his disciplinary record, like from HR. Like, seriously,
Yeah.
Like, is this like a problematic cop? You know, or I mean, there's another spin on this that he's kind of into this girl, and this is the time that they have to do their thing, and other than that, he's, you know, he does the job well of being a cop. You know, it's at least a possibility.
Yeah, it is.
But I would be curious to see if he's, like, you know, had a number of sort of abuse of authority types of occurrences in his career, and done that just for my own edification.
I don't know.
A good story, good sloppy triangle of smut.
Yeah. And again, you know, I know these people, you know, if you look at the picture, and a lot of women, I've already seen it. I've seen it in the comments. They're comparing the picture of the wife to the other lady, and like, oh, why did he have to do that? The wife looks way better than the other lady. The other lady, she got a lot of ass, man. That's not a fair picture to picture, and they did her a disservice there, and that's the one thing I'll give her there. They did a disservice. There's a lot more to this lady than that face picture that they have compared to the wife, and the wife has this beautiful filter. I'm sure she probably is beautiful, you know, but you know, and her hair is done, and the other lady, her hair is not done. It looks like she's just out of work or something. They just found any picture. It looked like a mug shot. You guys could have did her a little bit better, okay? But I understand.
But that's what they do in these things, man. There's
understand.
always an agenda to make it look a certain way.
That's you know, like, yeah. We can put a pin in that. All right. Let's move to one of our staples in the show, and that is Start a Bench with Coach Pink.
Sounds good.
All right.
Please find the tab and let's go.
Yeah. Didn't take me too long to find it.
It was very effective today.
I have my clock ready. I'm ready to go.
Whoa, this is rare air.
Now, well, really quick, I want to give a I have it on here, but you know, it's not to talk about, but I just wanted to find somewhere to put it. You know, so BG, man, former rapper, well, not former rapper. I don't know if he's gonna come out and make any more music, but of course he was with Cash Money Records back in the day, and he has been released from prison today after a long time. At the top of my head, and I'm not looking on Google, I believe it was about 14 or more years.
Yeah.
Somewhere close to that. And so yeah, he's out. Birdman went to go pick him up and all that good stuff, and we'll see if he makes any more music. Some people want to hear it, some people don't. It's been a while. He's older.
Why would you not want to hear it?
I saw some people going back and forth on Facebook. Some people saying, "Oh, he's so old now. He's been locked up. What kind of?" But in my mind, I mean, he should have a lot of stories.
Well, and my thing is why would you not want to hear it because of that question? He's been away a long time. He's older now. I mean, even if it's trash, you just kind of see what does he got?
Yeah.
Does he have anything?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and answer that question. So that's why there's no reason not to hear it. It may stink.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm down. I'm down to see.
Sure.
All right, so let's go. Let's go here. Let's go. Luka, starter bench.
Start Luka ejected today, right?
Yeah, he was. He was. Apparently, him and what's our guy?
Your guy.
Yeah.
Dylan Brooks.
Dylan Brooks was getting it in him, man. Pause. Yeah. But yeah. But all right. So there have been various reports that Luka could overwhelmingly, on his next contract, become the highest paid player in league history. They're reporting maybe about $80 million a year.
Wow.
About $80 million a year. If that comes to grips, what do you think about that? Just go. What is your initial reaction?
If you're gonna pay a guy $80 million a year, it should be a guy in his mid-20s and what should be the peak years of his career. It's a huge number, but there's context to the number. Now, does paying that number really prevent the Mavericks from building a quality team around him, or not? If it does, then there's something to be said for not doing it. But if the economics of the cap and the rules of the cap are such that you can pay him that in his mid-20s and still have enough ways to build a roster around him, I'm all for it. Mm-hmm. I remember here a long time ago, this is back with like Michael Jordan, that when you have a truly transcendent player, the economics of that change everything. And like, I remember the projection at the time was like, I think in his peak years, Jordan made about $36 million at the end of his career, that they were saying that if you did a pure economic analysis, like his value would be in the hundreds of $millions per season. What he does to the gate, what he does to the merchandise end of things, right, and the relevance. And so to pay Luka, who is a top 5 to 10 guy in the league, going into his peak years, top 5, that money,
yeah,
have at it.
Yeah, I like it. All right, let's go with Caleb, starter bench. Just right there. It's so big.
Caleb.
Pause. Yeah.
You've had to pause yourself twice, Bubba.
What have you been up to
those
today? GM5 guys, man, they're so on top of it. They're just like they trained me to pause.
Wow.
All right. Caleb,
you are who you surround yourself with, Bubba.
Yeah, I know. I gotta stop chilling with Day.
Yeah.
And Dante. Caleb Williams could stay at USC in 2024, depending on the draft order. What was that? Eli Manning?
Eli.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't want to go to, I think it was San Diego.
He didn't want to go to the Chargers.
And before that, John Elway did not want to play for the Colts.
I didn't know that.
And forced his way out to Denver, where things worked out quite well for both of them. So, yeah, the reality of the NFL draft is, the worst team gets the pick. And if you're the presumptive top pick, you're kind of stuck. There's not a lot of options there unless you can leverage yourself out. And I think he's just firing a warning shot that if things come around to draft eligibility time and the team with the top pick is, a team that is dysfunctional, he's not going to just do that to do that. And this is part of, I think it's connected to the new landscape of the NIL, where these guys can, a particular player with him, a potential at that time could be a 2-time Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, in the LA market. He could make millions of dollars in NIL money, and the urgency to get to the league is not good. And this is consistent with the player control narrative that we see heavily played in the NBA. It's not as easily played in football as it is. But it's certainly also played in soccer, and it's it is your career as the athlete. You have one time to do this, and if you really step back, it does not serve you well to be in organizations that are not willing to do what it takes to be successful around you.
It doesn't. Time. No, it doesn't at all. And sort of speaking to that, your last statement here, Joel Embiid, start a bench.
Oh, what's going on with Joel Embiid?
Nothing much is going on, right?
Okay.
So Embiid, he had one of his, preseason interviews here, and he basically said he will ride out all the 76ers drama that is going on with Harden, and of course previously that going on. But he says he's planning on riding it out for his contract here, and he's a ride it out Sixer for now. But to your previous point there about our team's willing to do X, Y, and Z to put a championship around you, a level team around you.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Well, I mean, hope springs eternal, and I think at the beginning of a season, you're always going to kind of see the positives and hope that things work out well, and maybe he's doing that. I would check back with him at the trade deadline and see what's going on there. I think he does himself a disservice if he remains. I've been a bit of a sports loyalist in some aspects, but when I really think about it, it just doesn't make sense to do that. It serves you best to keep your team on edge and working to be a contender than it does to simply go in at the beginning and say, hey, I'm good with my contract. I'm here for the duration of the contract, and be unequivocal about that. It also sets you up for the move that I think doesn't go over very well either, which was, you say this publicly, and then trade deadline or end of this coming season, you're saying something else, and you look disingenuous. Nobody is holding a gun to your head saying, hey, make a loyal Sixers comment that you're going to do this. Don't. I mean, he could just as easily sit in front of that microphone and say, my interest is to win championships, and I'd love to do it
like
in
Giannis.
Philadelphia. And if they can't do that, measured, you know. And if they can't, when you say it that way, you keep the pressure on the organization.
Yeah.
And LeBron's done that too. I mean, like he's in his own way, he's always kept pressure on organizations to make moves and push themselves to be better. And I think that is the duty and the right of an elite performer.
It is time. Yeah, that comes from the Kobe, LeBron, Giannis, all of those guys. Definitely kept pressure on their organization here. All righty here. Chris Jones, Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
So of course Chris Jones is battling contract negotiations with Kansas City Chiefs. He's threatening, or not threatening, but he's on verge to miss week 1, miss a couple of weeks actually, if they don't get a contract done for him. And actually yesterday he said that he may be on the sidelines, he may not be. He's playing that game with the fans and stuff like that. Also, Travis Kelce got injured in practice. He hyperextended his knee. So he may miss the first week. He's a guy who's been extremely healthy, especially for his position. Knock on wood. All right. So what is the Chiefs' outlook? Is this a bad omen for the season? They're the outside of Mahomes, these are the 2 best players on the team.
Yeah, it's a terrible week 1 situation. You couldn't you don't want anything worse than this. With Travis getting injured, hopefully it seems like there's some optimism it won't be a long-term injury,
right? Which
hopefully it is. And again, Travis Kelce, one of those elite performers that you want in the game. He makes football better to watch. And the Chris Jones thing, I hate holdouts. I recognize they can be a business necessity, but to me, when a guy holds out, more often than not, when he makes his way back, it either results in one of 2 things: an injury, or really like a disrupted subpar performance. And I'm very concerned about that. Yeah, you can't replicate what you do in practice. You can't replicate live reps in games. And if you're going to have a holdout that's going to extend into the season, it's very rare that you're able to overcome that and play at an elite level. The one good thing, and I don't know the direct correlation, but they have to be connected in some way, is Nick Bosa signed with the 49ers today, ending his holdout. And that has to have some role in sort of setting the market a little bit. And I know Jones is more of an interior guy than Bosa, but there has to be some significance to that deal being landed as far as defining the market.
Yeah, no, that's very true. That's very true. And yeah, like you said, man, when those guys hold out, man, they either get injured or some performance. We always hear about those NFL players talking about how tough camp is, how rough camp is, how how much they have to work and they don't want to work that hard. You're not doing that by yourself at home. Like, you're working out. Yeah, you're working out.
Yeah.
You're staying in physical, like, as far as, how you look, appearance shape.
Yeah.
But getting the football shape like they have you do in camp, that's just a total different nature and beast.
Yeah.
Speaking of nature and beast.
Oh, boy. The White Claw loving bear.
Yeah, man. So we have a bear in Florida. They always say Florida is a crazy place, man. And basically what happened is he broke into a Florida home.
A patio, though.
A patio. Broke into a patio. And he took 3 White Claws, drunk them, and left very happy. His favorite flavor is mango and strawberry, the homeowner said.
How were they able to determine that?
A 3-legged bear.
Yeah, 3-legged bear.
Not a full bear.
Shout out to this guy. This strikes a lot of chords to me. Number one, I'm really scared of people missing appendages, and that bothers me a lot.
That the bears?
It freaks me out. No, people too. Like, if you're missing a finger or something, don't shake my hand. I'm uncontrolled. I'm not happy with that. I remember one time I was coaching high school basketball, and we got to the end of the game, and we're doing the handshake line, and I used to make eye contact with people. And I'm going down, shaking hands, good game. And then all of a sudden, I hit a stump. And I was freaked out. I know my face revealed it, but, like, I had no heads up. I just shook hands with a stump. And to this day, I haven't forgotten the weird sensation that created in my right hand. So a 3-legged bear is not a friend of mine. I'm also not a person who's very comfortable with wildlife. And so it's one of my great fears that a bear or an alligator, like, comes to my house to do anything. I don't want any part of that. I mean, I might literally have to move. Like, if that were to happen,
right.
I would not be comfortable enough. Like, I wouldn't be talking about, if I'm these people, I'm not talking about the bear's favorite White Claw. I'm like, when can we list the house? And where can I stay while it's on the market? Like, that's horrible for me.
Time. Oh, man. And let's go here. This was an interesting story that I came across here. So apparently there is a contest.
No pause on the came across?
I know, right? There was a contest on well, these people are always trying to break the world records and things like that. We've had
I
a
heard
couple
a little
of
bit about
stories.
this. Yeah.
So there was a 14-year-old who died after attempting to eat the world's hottest tortilla chip. That's tough, man.
What? Okay, so a little bit of background on this. Okay, like, is this like this particular tortilla chip? This is something you can buy, like, as is, or like somebody's getting a tortilla chip and doing some wild stuff with it before trying to eat it?
That's a great question. I'm pretty sure that's a good question. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like, so what actually caused him to die then? Like, what is the cause of death, essentially?
The tortilla chip. I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to eat something that hot. I mean, if it's the world hottest in the history, I'm sure there's humans are not supposed to, I guess, go up to that type of temperature and heat, and maybe also his body just reacted wrong to it.
We're not talking about temperature, are we? No.
Like
spice
it's
level.
Spice level. That's what I mean. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Spice level.
But yeah, I don't get that. Like, is it like, yeah, like, I mean, if this chip is something you can buy off the shelf and it's killing a guy, like, that's a whole different problem. Like,
yeah.
And then if it's something where I buy a bag of chips and then I add, these ingredients somebody told me about, like, did he fuck up the recipe and it results in his own death, or what? Or was there some sort of pre-existing medical condition with this person that brought this about or contributed substantially to it. So a lot of unanswered questions, but
It is
pretty bad way to go out.
And as a parent, it's so tricky because, like, who thinks your child's gonna die after eating a damn hot potato chip? So it's like, hey, yeah, I'm breaking the world record for eating a potato chip. All right, son, go at it. Make sure you get it. Bring home the trophy.
That also like begs the question: like, were they even aware?
Yeah.
Is this something like he's just kind of doing because he saw
100%
on social
possible.
media, or is it like
100%
he's
possible.
doing this with a couple of friends
Yeah.
and they're trying to one up each other, or was it like, hey, Dad, I got big plans today. I'm going to go for the single hot chip record. It's like, yes, son, let me get the camera out. We'll record this.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, it's just crazy.
It's
but
just crazy, man.
I don't know. Sad. Sorry to see him go.
Yeah, that's for sure. Alrighty here. So, as far as the Embiid thing, of course, I'm a huge 76ers fan. So people who are watching, I have changed. Right, I've come to grips. I've changed. I do think Embiid should get out, and
Like sooner rather than later.
I think
or-
he should get out. I don't see the prize at the end of the rainbow. I don't see the box. I know after this year, you're supposed to have max money. You're supposed to have 2 slots for max contracts. But here goes the thing. This is the worst offseason we've had. In process years, we've had better offseasons. Off-season pickups this year were Patrick Beverly, Mo Bamba, and this James Harden fiasco. It's just, I haven't lived the worst offseason.
which is still
than this.
unresolved.
Which is still unresolved. Okay, all right. So this season it's just not going to be a good season. Unfortunately, we need Harden. The way the team is constructed, and even with Harden, we have a ceiling. So we're screwed this year anyway. So that's a whole year this man has to go, and he knows what the season is going to end in, and he's going to get scrutinized because he's the best player on this team. Right. And that's the thing, to protect your legacy, to protect people. Jokic now is going to be like eons above you. People don't care that Denver has the better team, the better organization, the better GM, the better, fucking front office. Nobody cares about that.
History doesn't remember that.
History doesn't remember that.
History remembers the titles. It remembers the MVP awards, and it forgets a lot of the team chemistry, team talent issues.
Exactly. So get the fuck out, man. and we're going to celebrate you on your way out. We're not going to, hate and cry and kick and scream and cry. We're just going to go to the front office with pitches and guns and knives and
like pitchforks,
guns
and knives
and fire and all of that good stuff. So we won't
You'd
be
have
at
like
your
a wizard conjuring up fire.
we won't be at your front doorstep, Embiid. You're safe. Can't speak for everybody else, right?
I'm with like an 1800s level assault in the front office. You guys riding horses up there too?
Riding horses up there too, man.
Couple of wagons.
The horse of death. Shout out to Ebony and Chris. So they responded to your question about the police officer about whether he had a bad record. So Ebony says he does have a bad record.
Boom.
And Chris says they got him for child abuse but dropped the case in the past.
Hey man.
So
bad people make bad decisions.
Yeah. There you go. So
Shout out to the research team. we got some fact checkers out here.
We got some fact checkers, man. Shout out to the research team. That is for sure. Once again, you guys are on the bench podcast with Bubba and Pink, home of sports, music, and mayhem. We're available on all, and I do mean all podcast streaming platforms, including here on YouTube. Please like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Quick shout out here to one of our sponsors here, Royal13thebrand.com. Again, that is Royal13thebrand.com. Use promo code Bubba Pink. Be fresh heading into the fall. I have to check to see if he has some hurricane stuff up. We got a storm. We have another storm that may be on the way.
Wait. Like he has hurricane theme.
I have to check to see if he has some ponchos, some jackets.
Oh,
okay. I got to see what new he has up on the site. But in the meantime, you guys can catch on Royal13thebrand.com and some of the shirts and
could
and
potentially
jackets and hoodies.
be.
I know he has hoodies.
I was gonna say could potentially be the home of your hurricane clothing needs.
Could potentially be. That's right. And if you're watching, True, that's his name. Maybe that's something you should put on there if it's not on there.
Yeah,
right? We're in hurricane season.
Maybe we should get some OTB all weather gear.
Not to be mistaken with Miami hurricane season. That's never a thing. But yeah,
it was in 2001.
Yeah. Was I alive?
Yeah, you're alive.
Okay.
Stop trying to fool these ladies.
That's a thing. That may I'm gonna come back to that.
All right, I want to hear where that's going to go.
But speaking of going, Sean Payton is going in, man, on Russell Wilson. And so basically, Sean Payton, of course, the new head coach of the Denver Broncos, was Russell Wilson. Will be his second season. Okay, he had a really bad season last season. That's to say the least. And a lot of people believe that could have been because of the coach that has now been fired. And if you remember, Sean Payton.
Watching Hard Knocks, he is not head coaching material. He is a really quirky guy, like an odd guy. And I could, Aaron Rodgers swears by him, likes him.
But Aaron is a quirky.
But Aaron's a quirky guy. Their relationship is, I can understand it.
Okay.
But it also tells me why he's not cut out to be a head coach. He's just got a really quirky personality. He's almost kind of like a little bit of like an overgrown kid. And that's just really not like head coach material. Coordinator with a strong head coach. And I mean, again, his dad was a longtime NFL head coach. I mean, I'm certain that Nathaniel Hackett knows football.
Right.
And I don't think that's the issue. But I do think he has an offbeat and odd personality that's really not suited to being the face of a franchise or the leader of an organization. I will say that from watching.
Yeah, and that, like I was saying, Sean had some strong comments on Nathaniel Hackett and about how inferior of a coach that he is. So now we fast forward here, and he tells Russell Wilson, you need to focus less on the Russell Inc. Will you stop kissing all the babies? You're not running for public office.
I love this. I have felt this about Russell Wilson from back when he was in his peak with the Seahawks. He would post almost on a daily basis, and no exaggeration, multiple times a week, child hospital pictures. and I get being a charitable guy is a good thing, and credit to him for reaching out to these people. But you are an NFL quarterback, and if you are posting that frequently, it becomes a little odd. You're not a missionary bringing attention to your work. You are a quarterback, and you're doing charitable works out of the kindness of your heart, presumably. But there's always a weird element of maybe brand building or something going on. And I think that those comments are almost long overdue to be said. Yeah. I do wonder, what is the context of this? Honestly, it makes a lot of sense if it's maybe on the field. Almost heat of the moment, I'm just going to let it rip because I'm agitated with your performance? Or was this more in a team meeting setting, or something like that, which is, to me, strikes a little bit different, a tear down, maybe in front of the team like this.
Right.
But I don't think he's incorrect in what he's saying. But it also says something to me. I think Sean Payton is insecure about the situation he's in.
I think so.
And I think that the criticism of Nathaniel Hackett, and again, when is this happening? 4 days before game day?
Yeah.
This is coming out? This is a man that is building excuses for what he fears is going to be a poor product on the field. That they weren't they were poorly coached. They didn't have a good locker room culture. That Russell Wilson's not invested in being a great player anymore. He's more invested in this other stuff. So that Sean Payton gets to come out and, do his thing, and if it doesn't work, he's got plenty of people to blame.
Right.
I've never been convinced that Sean Payton's a great coach. Never. I think he had a really good relationship with Drew Brees, and I think they had some good teams there. But at the end of the day, he won one Super Bowl and came up short several times. And that's not a complete indictment of his thing, but I'm talking about great coach. And I think when Denver made the hire in this market, they thought they were hiring a great coach, and I don't think they did.
That's really interesting. Of course, we'll find out. But I mean, as far as his track record, I agree with that. I mean, he had an all-time great quarterback with some great teams there, and he got it done one time, but that's about it. But
and he was in this. I mean, again, the same organization. Like it
Yeah.
was what it was. Like
it
it's
was
not.
what it was.
This is not a guy that went from one place to another and won in both places. This is not a guy that won with multiple quarterbacks.
He had some good seasons. They
not
weren't
garbage.
in the doghouse or the lottery, if you will, the first 5 picks or anything.
Sure.
He held it down. But as far as the Russell thing that we're talking about here, I was very disappointed in Russell last season. But there were tea leaves. We talked about it last year. We talked about how Seattle felt very confident and comfortable letting him go, getting Geno in, right? There were talks about how, Russell was, more consumed with him, and he wanted to take control of the offense and throw the ball a lot more. But then at the same time, he couldn't really run the offense that Pete was trying to run over there in Seattle.
Right.
And now Geno, they're able to run the complete playbook with Geno. That means something when they say that. Like they're not completely coming out saying Russell Wilson was shit and this and that. But when they come out and say, hey, we're able to do all of this with Geno, we haven't done this we haven't been able to do this in 7-8 years.
Yeah.
That means something, right?
Yeah.
And then he gets over here to Denver, and Nathaniel Hackett, okay, he's a bad coach. But Russell is still out there throwing these interceptions. He's still out here taking these sacks and things of that nature. And you can see, man, from the thing with him and Future and Sierra, just how he's so I don't know the word I'm looking for, but he's just not a regular guy. He's
he's an oddball. You heard that like from back in the Seattle thing. Like he was not. Like he portrays himself as this all-in, I'm prepared, team first guy, but he was not universally liked in that locker room in Seattle, even in what you would consider his peak years. And I do think there's a certain element of phoniness to him.
And he's a prick. He needs, like in Denver last year, he needs his own office. He wants to, private planes. He wants his own team to have certain privileges nobody else has on the team. All of this stuff. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And you're playing god awful. No, I'm not giving you all of this. Like one thing Sean did do, he came in and said, hey, none of this. What are we doing here?
We have one coach here. No, it really, and again, you can work yourself to that, and it is, kind of ridiculous. And you contrast to the story of Tom Brady signing with the Bucs, and the first thing the GM said after he signed the contract was, "Can you give me a list of phone numbers of the players? I want to reach out to them." And Tom Brady heading to Tampa had a whole lot better resume than you did heading to the pot-filled hills of Denver.
Yeah,
and that's different, man.
It's different.
And I definitely think Russell struggled for relatability in Seattle, and it's followed him here.
He has that Tebow thing. That was on the Tebow show that we talked about.
Vow.
Yeah. And it's hard for a lot of those guys to relate to that. Yeah. But at the very least, when those guys checked into Tebow, like it was real. Real. The Russell thing, people really do believe he's phony. They don't a lot of his teammates don't believe it. Like you're being fake here, man. Disingenuous.
But I mean, I felt that going back to the baby pictures in the hospital. It was so much.
Yeah.
And it was like a couple times a week. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Why? It reeked of some sort of weird overcompensation. And I don't get that. In interviews, he comes across as like overly prepped. He does not come across as authentic.
Yeah,
and that's one of those things. You are who you are, and I think Denver at the end of the day has made a horrible mistake in investing this window of opportunity in Russell Wilson.
I'm a guy in fantasy drafts. I wait for quarterbacks.
I pounce.
You do.
Yeah.
I wait for quarterbacks, but when I'm down to choices, I'm just not picking Russell. I've had Russell, Dak, Geno, Richardson, Anthony Richardson, and I'm not picking Russell at any cost. I picked Anthony over Russell.
Yeah.
And I don't think Anthony's going to do anything awesome at all.
Yeah.
But I'm just not picking Russell.
No, I agree. I agree with you. Like he at this point in his career and in my fandom of football, like I don't particularly want him to succeed.
Yeah.
And I don't want to pick him on my fantasy team where I kind of have to root for him.
Yeah. No. Not even a backup role.
Right. But I'd much rather spend that pick on a player that I would enjoy, following and hoping good things happen to them.
You do go quarterback pretty early. You do.
Yeah.
And that's fun. You get the Mahomes, you get the Hurts, whoever you. I know you got Mahomes in one league.
Yeah, I got Josh Allen and I got Hurts in one. I got Josh Allen in the other.
You got Josh in there, yeah.
My theory, and people could disagree with it, but like quarterback points are typically going to be the highest consistent points.
Yeah.
When you're talking about a top 5
the
quarterback,
league guys, yeah.
and that's what I'm going for. If I could be at the middle or end part of the first round and nab the best quarterback or the top 2 or 3 guy, I'm going to do it.
And if you miss on one of those guys, that's different. Now you're talking about something different. But, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, there's a tier. I would say, like, for this year, if other people thought similar to me and Pat, Josh, Hurts, and Burrow went off the board before my first pick, I would probably go to another spot. But you got to realize there's an economy to that. That if those quarterbacks are going early, that means that other positional guys are sliding, and so there's going to be value there.
Yeah.
But in the modern, era of fantasy football, other positions seem to be valued higher than quarterback, at least early in drafts, and I'm going to take advantage of that marketing efficiency.
Yeah, there you go. Let's go to Team USA, man. So of course, Team USA. The last time we saw them, they were in a blowout fashion. All right, and those guys. When those guys are blowing teams out, they're having a fun time. You got Halliburton between the legs, alley-oop pass to Orlando Magic's very own Paolo.
Yep,
correct, right?
Against his countrymen.
Yeah, yeah. They over there looking at him like, hey, you should be over here.
Yeah, you should. You could be our Dennis Schroeder.
And speaking of, so Team USA's next game, all righty, it's either Saturday or Sunday, right?
Yeah, I'm not
It's
sure.
the weekend. It's Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I know it's the weekend.
So I was totally confused because the USA and Serbia won their games on the same day, and Germany and Canada won on the same day. So I was thinking in my head, that we would play Serbia, Germany would play Canada, and then the final would follow.
Okay,
but the days are crossed. So this is a matchup. These two teams played a fantastic game in the warm-ups to this tournament. Germany led deep into the third quarter by double figures. Anthony Edwards led a U.S. rally to come back and win. Now, here's what I think is advantageous for the U.S. in this matchup and against Canada. I think that those two teams are, for lack of a better term, NBA-ified, that they are going to basically play an NBA-styled game. Mm-hmm. And I think that the U.S. would flourish in that. They'd have their best chance in that setting. Not to say they can't be beat, because they could to either one of these teams. But I actually feared Serbia, who will play a more FIBA European-based game,
100%.
which is a lot of what Lithuania did in beating the U.S. a couple days back. So I like this matchup. I think it's a small advantage for the U.S. to potentially play two opponents that will play a more NBA-oriented style of basketball.
Even though Germany has more active NBA players right now. But it's the style. It's the style make the fight.
I think the fact that the Germans have NBA guys is what makes it good.
No, and I agree with that. And that's what you're saying. Essentially, the style makes the fight here. It makes it more advantageous for USA. And also Germany has, as you can see in the picture, of course, they have Dennis Schroeder. But they also have the Wagner brothers, Orlando Magic, and he was the best player. One of the Wagners was the best player in their last game to advance to this game here.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So, they have some some NBA guys like you said, but USA really looked strong in this last game, and also they said the loss that they took to Lithuania, woke them up, that kind of shook them up, and.
As it should.
They
they looked like flat and uninspired in that game.
It was really only Anthony. It was really like it was literally, when I was watching this, like only Ant wanted to win. And other guys was just like, hey, if we lose, we lose, we win.
Yeah.
Type of thing. It's just optics looking at the game. I mean, but of course, guys probably, just had bad games. And Brandon Ingram is he's just not finding himself on this team.
Because he is who he is, and that's not an elite guy. He's a talented guy. He's not an elite guy. My argument is this: what happens in these games? Like this is like gravity. Like you throw things in the air and they come down. The best are going to come down.
But I was reading this, and what do you think about this? Okay, so you got
give it to me.
So look, you have a lot of these guys who come into this Team USA thing. Some of these guys are really used to being the number one A1 guy on their basketball team. So when they come on this Team USA and they're either the second, third, fourth, fifth banana, they've literally never been that in their entire lives, right? And also they're playing for USA, and there's just a lot of internal pressure. And then you have the coaching staff who's only asking you, maybe they only asking you to be this 3-and-D player, which Brandon Ingram, that's essentially what they're asking him to do. Let Anthony and let the Lakers, Austin Reeves, let these guys create. They'll pass it to you out in the wing to shoot, and we need you to play defense. When has he ever done that? So it's kind of hard for those guys to adjust to not getting 20 touches a game and being able to be in ball screens.
That's all well and good, but here's the thing: when you put these teams together, like the guys that get to do what they do that because they're rising to the top of that situation. And you throw the ball out there and you do it, and it's like in practice, Anthony's the alpha, and then we fall in around the alpha.
Yeah.
And then what that is falling in around the alpha, even when you're presumed to be a great player, that is, the subjugation of your ego and the application of your basketball intelligence. I'm a great basketball player. I can find a way to play.
Yeah.
I can do what you're not asking me to do everything I can possibly do, but it doesn't mean I can't do the things you're asking me. That's a form of greatness.
Yeah.
And to me, like when you get these guys, and there's always, whenever you put a Team USA together, there's always going to be a guy or two that just really don't fit. And to me, it's not a good look to be that guy.
No, it's not.
You don't want to be that guy. And Team USA basketball is like, again, it is a dick measuring contest, but it's also like a great chance for you to enhance your career in some way and take something out of that. Like if it's done right, you get something out of this experience that you bring back to the NBA. Maybe it's some workout stuff or dieting stuff, or just watching a guy conduct himself in a certain way that you're like, man, if I did that, I'm going to be better.
Yeah.
And that's just the thing. Or maybe it's just like putting in a competitive grind over the off season rather than, chilling and kind of working out with your guy and whatever. And I just think that there's huge value here, and I think that Ingram thus far has been probably the biggest loser in this dynamic.
I think so. And when you only have, one guy that's visibly out of place, out of, whatever, that's, that you can work with that, right? It's not multiple guys. Now,
it doesn't hurt the culture of the team.
It doesn't hurt the culture of the team.
Yeah, because it is. It's isolated. It's like one guy.
Yeah, it's just one
maybe
guy.
Maybe two, but that's the thing.
But, then you have other guys you would hope that would just play better. I mean, your bigs are what they are. I think, how they're playing. I mean, I think they're playing. That's their ability, right?
Right.
There's not much they can do.
That's why I said about Jaren Jackson. It's like offensively, I just don't really like him as a player.
Yeah.
He's not that good.
And he gets in foul trouble every other game. But in the NBA, he's always one amongst the league leader in fouls. He likes to attack, man. As far as blocking shots, and he puts himself in bad situations, tough situations, man, for those foul calls.
But the odd thing with Ingram, though, is like for most of his career, he's not been really a number one.
He has, but because of injury, he has.
Yeah, I
for a
mean,
lot.
but much as he's done, he's also not been in that role. Like when Zion's been healthy, the games they've played, it's Zion.
It's Zion.
He's
but-
also, I mean, like they utilize C.J. McCollum a lot. I mean, he's not been like unquestioned. This is my
not
team
unquestioned.
guy.
No.
And I think that's almost, it's even funnier that he seems to be struggling with that as much as anybody there.
Yeah.
I mean, but you look at this, like, again, it comes down to mentality. And even when he was at Duke, I never liked Brandon Ingram. I didn't understand the hype, And you look at this, and it's like, what other players have looked pretty darn good in this? Jalen Brunson,
Yeah.
Halliburton,
Yeah.
guys that are very comfortable and confident in who they are.
Yeah.
If not, like, they may not be the best player, they may not be the alpha of this group, but they're comfortable with who they are.
Yeah.
And I think that's a reflection of Brandon Ingram and reflects one of his shortcomings as a player, as a potential star.
No, I agree with that. That's good stuff, man, on Team USA. We'll definitely come back, and by the time we do our next show, hopefully the
It'll be
championship.
decided, I think.
Yeah, I think it'll be decided. Then it'll be just finished up.
Yeah.
So we'll have something to react to there. Canada and Serbia, that should be a really close game.
It'd be an interesting game.
Very, very interesting. I probably would side with Canada. I think they have the best player, but of course that doesn't mean much in FIBA. But I also root for that guy, man, Shea. Shea Gilgeous.
I think they faced the same challenge that the U.S. would against Serbia. Serbia's going to play a very European brand of basketball. It's going to be physical. It's going to be shooting. It's going to be passion. And the Canadian team is largely an NBA team, and they play that way. And again, they are actually. I mean, I don't think man for man through the roster, but I mean, I think Gilgeous is going to be the best player in the tournament at this point now that Luka's out.
Yeah.
And so if they play the U.S., they're going to have the best player on the floor. U.S. might have guy 1 to guy 12 a better team, but sometimes it's tough to beat the best guy on the floor.
You like Shea over Ant?
At this point, I do.
They're close, though.
They're close. I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. We have a little bit extra time here. You know what it was? Did you catch the Ben Simmons comments? What was that last week?
He's ready to go beast mode on people or something like that. Like what is? Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, that's
some tough talk from Ben Simmons.
That's been but he always does that, right? He comes out with the basketball videos of him shooting and him practicing and I'm ready for this season. But some of the comments were like, Philly is my home.
Oh yeah.
If I was ever traded again, I would be interested in going back to Philly.
I did catch that. Okay, yeah.
What are we doing, man?
This is a lost soul. It is like he's been broken mentally since since that series in Philadelphia.
Yeah, against the
Hawks. I mean, the reality, whether we think he should be tough enough or resilient enough to recover, he hasn't. He's been a mess since then, physically and mentally. And the way that he's talking now, making these comments, to me, that's symptomatic of still being a mess. He's not in a good place mentally. And again, you're talking about just the wrong stuff. You've been in a train wreck. Like, just put the work in and let it show itself on the floor at this point. Nobody wants to hear Ben Simmons talk about stuff because what we want to see is him play.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't done enough of that lately. So just stop talking and deliver what you're trying to talk about now.
And the Brooklyn team in the Eastern Conference is really unsettled. I mean, it's really unsettled. You got Giannis putting pressure on the Bucks because probably internally he doesn't fully believe in this team moving forward because those guys are getting older, man.
Yeah.
Those guys are getting a lot older, and they're not replacing those guys. You have Miami who's still waiting on Dame. Who knows what's going to happen with that? Boston kind of reset their team with Marcus Smart being the heart of the team. He's gone. The heart and soul is gone. They bring it in Porzingis, who is over his career. I mean, he's just been hit or miss, and
Right.
really fringing on health. That's before we even get to the will he fit with those guys, with two guys who are ball dominant scorers, not ball dominant distributors.
Correct.
So who knows how that's going to go? And so Brooklyn has an interesting team. I think they have a number one guy in Bridges.
Yeah.
I think he's a number one guy. He's a two-way at that.
He's having a very solid FIBA tournament as well.
Yeah. And they have some interesting pieces around those guys. So
Cam Johnson's on he's at the back end of the bench on this group, but he's there.
He's a really good 3D player.
And I did those two guys in particular, I think they come from a very pure place.
Yeah.
And I like the way they approach the game. They do it as professionals. I think Bridges, isn't he never missed a game or something like that? I mean, these guys really go about things the right way. And if Ben Simmons comes back as if it's even possible, something close to his peak years, it's an interesting.
That's what I'm saying. Really interesting group. I'm not saying
very
championship
long.
contending, but they're very interesting.
They're very long and defensively versatile with those pieces.
Yeah.
I mean, and so they could create some interesting stuff.
That's for sure. Now NFL, of course, we're entering the first week of the season. Most fantasy drafts have already drafted. You better, because tomorrow is the first game.
That's right.
With the Chiefs and Lions. All right. So I'm gonna reel off some games here. You tell me what games you find to be the most interesting to you.
Okay.
So like I said, Chiefs and Lions kick it off. We have the Panthers and Falcons, snooze fest. Bengals, Browns, Jags, Colts, another snooze
Wait,
fest.
let's not Bengals, Browns.
Bengals, Browns. That's
Okay.
Deshaun Watson. We get to see him in his first game. Joe Burrow, he had his first full practice yesterday.
Yeah.
So he's trending into starting week 1.
I think he'll play.
I think he'll play week 1.
Yeah.
Especially if he practicing full with pads and everything.
Yeah.
And they're going against the revamped Browns with Deshaun having a full off season. All right, Nick Chubb and those guys. That should be interesting.
Yeah.
Jags and Colts again. You got Anthony Richardson in his first very full NFL game going against Trevor Lawrence.
I think the Jags win that, and I'm kind of on the Jags. I'm tentatively on the Jags bandwagon. My son Cameron's kind of influenced me, I think. But you look at the team, and
He's a Jazz guy.
Yeah, he became one last year, so kind of got into football, and that kind of gravitated to the team. Trevor Lawrence showed some great signs last year.
Yeah.
You bring in Calvin Ridley. Etienne was good at running back. I think that they're a team that's trending in the right direction. And I think catching the Colts in what would be Anthony Richardson's debut is really an ideal start for a team like the Jags to get out of the gates.
Yeah, I think so. Bucks and Vikings.
Bucks without Tom, what are we looking at?
We're looking at Baker.
Not only looking at Baker, but the glamour of the Bucks is gone. With Tom.
Yeah.
So they're just another team. Now, they might have some success, they might not. But you don't go into games excited to see, what's up with the Bucks. I'm going to miss Dalvin Cook on the Vikings. I enjoyed that. But they have Jefferson and Kirk Cousins, man. It kind of won me over in the quarterback show. So we'll see. I would say the Vikings would probably win that game.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And they're favored by 6, a touchdown, so. All right, Tennessee and the Saints, another snooze fest.
Whew. Unless Jameis is starting, I want the Saints to lose.
This is very interesting. They have the Saints favored by 3. So what we got? Derek Carr over there. That's an interesting line. I know the Saints are home, but the Titans are supposed to be.
Kamara's on suspension.
Yeah,
so he's not playing.
Yeah, that's an interesting line.
Is Mike Thomas still alive?
Barely.
I don't know.
He's barely hanging on. I know they have Olave over there.
But what is the?
I'm gonna bang that. I'm gonna bang Tennessee on the +3.
Wrap up, Bubba. Wrap up.
Ryan Tannehill is gonna have to screw me. No pause.
What is the is Tannehill healthy and that and Derrick Henry's healthy?
So that's interesting.
Yeah, that is.
I don't know why that's like that.
Yeah.
I guess maybe I'm lower on Derek Carr than I'm supposed to be. I know he's a solid NFL guy, but
Yeah, I'm with you. He's, to me, a middle-of-the-road guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always distrustful of the outward Christian.
Next game, 49ers Steelers.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
I think there's a
somewhere.
lot of positive vibes around the Steelers right now.
It is.
And 49ers obviously have a good roster. They have a lot of talent, and they probably have Super Bowl aspirations. So
And now we know Bosa is playing, especially with that new deal.
yeah, I that's probably of the games you've mentioned. That's probably for me the most intriguing game.
Yeah. Right now I'm still on Bengals Browns just because of the Deshaun factor, but we'll see. We'll see where this goes.
I'm not really interested in Deshaun that much.
No?
Like yeah, I was.
Yeah, you was never a Deshaun.
I was never here. I never counted him among the elite quarterbacks.
But can he get there? Can he
I
get
doubt it. I mean, after essentially like a 2-year layoff, we're gonna expect him to get there.
And
Like,
he didn't look good in his few games last year.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think he's getting there.
All right. That's definitely a fair assessment. Next game, Cardinals Commanders.
Talking about a
Snooze
garbage
fest.
game.
Another snooze
I
fest.
think Washington wins.
They should. They're favored by a touchdown, a whole touchdown. I wouldn't do that, but they should win.
Riverboat Ron and Eric Bieniemy.
Texans Ravens. That's
Ravens.
another snooze face. Ravens should blow this one out.
Ravens should. I mean, Lamar usually, if he does nothing, he usually starts fast. I think he probably averages about 4.5 touchdowns in week 1 of an NFL season. So I think that they'll probably roll. I mean, you do want to see, like, how does C.J. Stroud look?
He didn't look impressive to me in the preseason.
Yeah, he's an Ohio State guy, so I always discount them.
Packers Bears. That's an okay game. That's a good game because it's a rivalry.
I don't care about rivalries.
You do care about rivalries.
I don't. What rival do I care about?
You don't care about any Florida State rivalries?
No, I don't care about them like that. Like, I'm not gonna banter back and forth with a Gator like over and over. I don't care like that. My team is my team. Like, I worry about what my team does.
Right.
I mean, now if the Gators are number 2 and we're number 1, or vice versa, like, yeah, I'll care about
It's
that.
a little bit something with that. Yeah.
I mean, to me, what is the big game? Like,
Yeah. What's the big game?
The big game is somebody beating Georgia.
Yeah.
Like,
right now. Yeah.
That's the big game. Like, everything else is like, okay.
Yeah. You got Jordan Love, his first game this year. I know he started.
I have like zero intrigue about that guy. Like, I don't care. Like, it's, I'll be shocked if he's anything more than an adequate starter.
What about Justin Fields?
He's been at it a couple of years, and I haven't seen growth.
Yeah.
He'll make a few plays, sure. I had much higher hopes for him as a player coming out of college, and he's disappointed.
I think I agree a little bit. I mean, he's growing legs to be one of the best running quarterbacks in the NFL. That's what they give him. And, that's all good and well, but you're going to have to pass from that pocket, man, to enter the next level of quarterbacks.
Sure.
Raiders Broncos. Another snooze fest here.
Yeah.
But I guess Russell makes it intriguing. You want to see the train wreck.
Well,
Everybody wants to see a good
You want to
train
see
wreck.
if it's in fact the train wreck we think it is.
Yeah.
But you got, Jimmy G.
Mm-hmm.
I like Max Crosby. He seems like a good dude. I do. You don't like Max Crosby?
I don't know too much about him to know. I know what position he plays, and he's a good player. But outside of that, I don't really know much about him.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have the Broncos favored by 3.5. I think that's a little too much.
The Broncos are favored by 3.5.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised.
Yeah, I am too. So I'm gonna.
They
bang
still
the
have
Raiders.
Josh McShitbird at coach, right?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, that's probably why.
Eagles Patriots.
I love it. I'm not going to say I'm all in on the Eagles, but I enjoy the Eagles. I like what they have going on.
They're a really talented, deep team as well, just like you said about the 49ers. And
I think Mac Jones is a bum. I think he's kind of like an emotional bitch, and I think he'll never be an upper-tier quarterback. He's more likely to lose his job under unceremonious circumstances than he is to play at an all-pro level.
I'm not there yet with him. I know he had a terrible coaching situation last year.
I've always led the way, though.
You have, and you could very well be right. I'm just not ready to hit that button yet.
All right.
Okay, who do we have next here? Next here we have Well, and also the Eagles are favored by 4. I'll probably pound the hell out of that.
Only 4?
Yeah, I think that's a good line.
You take that one to Pound Town, are you?
Taking it to Pound Town. Chargers, Dolphins. That's an interesting one.
I like that. I'm all Dolphins in that one.
Well, you're not the biggest Herbert guy.
No, I'm not. No, I love Mike McDaniel. I like a healthy Tua, Waddle, and Hill. I'm all for that.
The Dolphins, I'm surprised they haven't gotten much pub because it really is a good roster and they're healthy starting out.
I can only speak for myself. Like, I really didn't engage in the preseason very much. So, like, I a lot of these things, I'm not even sure, like, well, how is this guy or that guy looked in the preseason because I haven't paid attention, like, at all. Like, 90% of my preseason knowledge is gleaned from Hard Knocks. Like, through the eyes of the Jets, like, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I was not watching a lot of preseason football. The way it worked for me, like, by the time I ended up like of being available to tune into a game, it was already like, second or third quarter, which I already presumed to be like garbage time. So I didn't bother to get that involved.
Yeah. Rams, Seahawks. Another snooze fest for me. I know the Seahawks is going to be a pretty good team here this year, but
I think we learn a lot about McVay. Because, I really was super high on him. I think he was like a rising star. They won a Super Bowl. He appeared in a Super Bowl. And but I've been disturbed by the amount of times his retirement has been discussed at the age of, Quavo. And, and then now here he is with the, they kind of jettisoned some big name pieces off that team. And it doesn't feel like they're loading up to make a title run. But I think we learn a lot about him this year.
yeah.
How good is he? If he gets this team into the playoffs and playing good football, then he is the guy I thought he was. But if they just kind of peter around and fall apart like they did last year, and I know they had a lot of injuries, but that'll tell you a lot about Sean McVay.
No, that's for sure. That's for sure. And Cup may miss a few games here. They're trying to figure that out.
Yes, hamstring.
Yeah.
Like why does like a hamstring require like deep science?
That's like one of the. They have a lot of things figured out, but that hamstring is tricky for these doctors.
Elusive, yeah. Hey, why don't you guys throttle back on the cancer a bit and figure out the
hamstring? Cowboys Giants, another rivalry.
God two teams I just don't enjoy anything about. But Daniel Jones is my starting quarterback in the Pokey Pump League, so maybe I'll have to pay attention to that. I other than watching like Micah Parsons play, and there's not a whole lot there for me in that game.
It's not, but the Giants are supposed to have a good team this year. I like Dayball. I like I don't know. I would pick the Cowboys here.
My thing on this is Daboll did a great job last year, but they won a lot of fine margin games.
Yeah.
And I really think that's
tough to
I
duplicate.
don't think it's a super talented roster. I don't believe in Daniel Jones as being an upper tier elite quarterback, and I think that they're most likely to kind of regress to the mean and lose a lot of the close games they won last year.
Yeah.
So that's my suspicion on the New York Football Giants.
Bills and Jets.
Oh, that's a fun one.
This is a fun one.
That's
now we're getting somewhere.
That's up there with the other game that I liked.
Yeah,
the Dolphins and Chargers. What the Dolphins? I liked one other game, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. You liked the Dolphins and Chargers a little bit. You liked the 49ers and Steelers.
49ers and Steelers. Yeah. No, this is up there. This is a heavyweight battle. Two teams with like legitimate aspirations and talented rosters. The Jets, I mean, they did some good things last year. You add Aaron Rodgers, and it's a statement. We're here to win it all. And the Bills have been that team that's been trending in that direction, but haven't been able to get over the hump. And I said a couple weeks ago, I think watch the Bills carefully. If they don't start well, they could implode. Things could get tough for them. And so this is probably a bigger game than the Bills realize it is, because if you drop game one to a division rival with legitimate aspirations and talent, you've kind of been the big dog in that division for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And if you drop game 1 to the Jets, it sends a big message that resounds through the league.
That's for sure. Now on the Bill side though, like, with Josh and the Stephon beef, I want to see if how they get off, what kind of start they get off to the season.
Yeah, and I think to me, I think that beef, to the extent it's a beef, is kind of like a microcosm of the whole team. I just think they're fragile, and that's kind of what I'm going to. So if and how does it play out? Do they just play football and everybody has a good game and they play well, or does Josh, or the coaching staff, do they kind of overemphasize going to Diggs to kind of overcompensate and make him feel loved, maybe at the expense of the game plan? And I don't know. I mean, if you're the Jets, are you going to just let Sauce guard him everywhere he goes?
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. I know if I'm the Jets, I know that's a vulnerability.
Yeah.
And I'm going to attack it.
Well, this is what I've already watched a couple shows and watched a couple coaches and stuff like that. The Jets don't shadow, right? So
yeah,
Gardner plays his side.
Yeah.
So if the Bills want, they could hide that matchup, and maybe they'll do it some, but they could also put Diggs on the other side. But the Jets have a good secondary in general. I mean, it's just not Sauce out there.
They do, but what I, even if it's not what I normally do, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm putting it in. I'm doing it because it's game 1. They haven't seen it, and I know that there's an emotional fragility to that matchup, and so maybe you need to fire their coordinator, hire me. But I do that. I go off script.
Kind of break them, yeah.
I go off script. I stalk him with Sauce, and I see. And my thing is okay, if you want to get this guy going, I'm going to have you target into my best defensive back and a guy that's a rising star. And guess what? If they are overcompensating and that doesn't go well for them, they're dead.
Yeah.
I might not even have to do it all game. But I'm going to start there.
No, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And the NFL does it again. I mean, that's the Monday night football game. That's a really good Monday night game. The Cowboys and Giants, that's going to draw big ratings. It's a rivalry game, and it's Cowboys. That's a Sunday night game. But the Thursday night is the Chiefs and Lions. The Lions are an interesting team.
Yeah.
They're the darlings of last year, so they're going to come in with some pub. And also, they're playing against a Chiefs team that's hobbled. So it should be competitive. We're going to see if Mahomes can do it without Kelsey, without Jones. If that's the way it rolls out. Yeah. And they're gonna kill that. Whether he does. If he performs poorly, he really needs Kelsey. The defense is nothing without Jones. If they win kind of in a convincing fashion, Mahomes is the greatest ever.
Yeah, no, seriously.
So those are the two storylines we're looking at.
What the story
yeah, no. So that's just what it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Gibbs play for the Lions.
Yeah, he came out and said something. He has some lofty expectations for himself. That's you talking about the rookie running back, right? Yeah. He has some lofty expectations, and I mean it's a fun offense. Goff is a competent quarterback. We learned that about him, and they have some weapons over there, and they have, by all accounts, I mean they have a top 2, top 3 offensive line in the league, so that's huge.
And they're a team that has stuck together and built together through adversity. I mean, they barely won games 2 years ago. Yeah, they went on a run this end of this year, and it's really, as a group, hey, we've been through some shit and we're here together. Yeah. Let's go. So they'll be amped up for this game, and it should be a good one. It really should. I mean, it's particularly with the Chiefs being somewhat diminished.
Yeah. That's for sure.
Which I'm not happy to see, for the record.
No.
And neither should you, as Chiefs' #1 fan.
Of course.
Even in front of Mahomes' brother.
There's a small...
Oh, God, I can't say it.
There's a small piece of me that wants...
Mahomes' brother?
that wants to see us without Chris and without Kelsey. You know what's interesting that I just heard yesterday? Kelsey is only...
Didn't you have enough of that with the GM5 last Saturday?
I know, right? Kelsey is only 10 months younger than Gronk, who has been retired for, 3 years?
Yeah,
Like Kelsey is not a young guy.
No, it sneaks up on you.
And he's at a position where they don't last particularly long, and he's been
Unless you're Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah, and so he's going to be on this. He's on the back nine. He's on the back nine of his career.
Yeah,
and we don't have anything on the team that's like a young great tight end, right? So that's going to be interesting to see. And then this Chris Jones piece.
Let's put this in context. Travis Kelce is one of the best tight ends to ever play football.
Yeah.
So when he goes, there's a gaping hole. Like no team is replacing. We don't have a young talented. No, you don't. Like there's just not many like him.
No, you don't. But see, that's not the problem that we don't have a young replaceable tight end. The problem is we don't have any identifiable weapons. Period on the team.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. If we had some two promising young great receivers, and which we could, we just drafted Justin Ross, we drafted Sky Moore last year. One of those guys could emerge.
Yeah.
But just as we're sitting here currently, Travis Kelce is the only reliable transportation that we have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What's been up with Kadarius Toney?
And since the beginning of time, he's been hurt. I mean, even
Again?
at Florida. And he's
been hurt this particular preseason?
He's questionable
Okay.
now. He's supposed to play week 1. He may not play. He may play. He's just always hurt, man. That's not a guy you can rely on. I mean, like I said, even in college, he just was always hurt. That's his reality. The Giants released him as part of that reasoning. So, he's just not reliable. So, we'll see. But I do want to see. A quarterback, I don't give a damn. A quarterback needs weapons, right?
Yeah.
So, what the hell? But I want to see it. I want to see what can Mahomes do without Kelsey. We saw him do it without Tyreek, but still had Kelsey and others. So let's see what he could do without Kelsey and what he could do with these young guys.
He's like the handicap factor.
Yeah, but not for long. Just a game or two. Just a game or two. What was just a game or two.
I'm not a handicap guy. I like. The joy in all of this is to see
domination.
See
the great players.
See the great stuff happen.
Yeah, see the great stuff.
That's what I don't need them to win 42-10 because that's not going to be particularly fun to watch. But I want to see what guys can do. I like talent around talent, and the dynamic there is like geometric improvement.
Like when the Cavs played the Golden State Warriors and Kyrie and Kevin Love got hurt, the first game I wanted to see what LeBron, and it was fucking what, it was one for the ages. LeBron, they lost, but LeBron was like fucking, that was one of the greatest games I'd ever seen from an individual player.
Yeah.
Now after that, I wanted to see Kyrie and Kevin Love come back.
Right.
I didn't want to see that for the rest of the year. The rest of that series.
Right.
I just want to see that one game, and I saw it, and it was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Kelsey go the whole season, but one game or two.
There's
let's see
okay,
that.
so I'm a big soccer guy, and so 2 weeks ago, me and my friend Brandon, we go to watch Liverpool play, and so 10 minutes into the game, they give up a goal. They're 1-0 down. A half an hour into the game, they lose a man to a red card, and so at that moment, Pittman was like, "Oh man, we're gonna get destroyed 3-0," and I was like, kind of like. I go, no, just keep this game close, defend, get a set piece, see what happens. And the way the game played out, they kind of did that, and they ended up getting 2 late goals, not just tying, but winning. And it became this huge cathartic moment and like a real early season momentum play. And it's one of those games that'll be a reference and touchstone to them going forward. But occasionally I get it. Like you need to gut one out in the trenches. But it's way more fun to watch the whole team function. And like what can they do? Like how these guys combine and play and whatever. But sometimes, I mean, you're not going to get what you want at the end of the day, a championship, a title, if you can't fight in the trenches.
No.
And some games are going to require you to do that.
No, that's for sure.
So I mean, from the Chiefs' perspective, like going into it, yeah, we're shorthanded. We find a way to win. We're playing a new team. They haven't been where we've been. And we need to drag them out to the deep water and drown them.
That's it, man. That's it. Well, that'll do it for this week, man. We'll see what's going to happen next week. I'm going to Philadelphia for the first time in my life.
Really?
Yeah, man. Going on a work trip.
Are you gonna just walk over to the Sixers facility? And,
1,000%.
are you?
I've already told.
Do you know
them.
where it is? Like you look it up, Google it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not far from where I'm going to be hotel wise,
Okay.
and I'm going to go. Hopefully, I run into. I don't want to run into any new players. I'm hoping to run into Elton Brand or one of the front office people. I
It
really
may
am,
not end
honestly.
well, right?
Huh?
Are you gonna do the Rocky?
I'm not
statue?
gonna. The Rocky statue. I think you have to, right?
I would. I did when
Yeah.
I was there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have to.
I took a picture of me and my dad there. That was pretty
Okay.
cool. And then the other thing you got to do.
Hold on,
is-
did you guys make it all the way up and all the way down?
Yeah, I mean it's steps, dude. It's not Mount Everest.
But the pictures, it looks like a long way up, man.
I mean, it's still steps, man. Yeah, there's not like a pool of Sherpas down at the bottom guiding you up to the Rocky statue. Oh, jeez, man. But now the other one you got to do is the dueling cheesesteak places.
Oh yeah,
Pat's and Gino's.
for sure.
Yeah, you got to do that. That's
Yeah,
pretty
they're
fun.
already in the group chat talking about that.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah. So gotta do that. Got to do the Rocky and got to do the 76ers. After that, I think I'll run out of time. But those three are on my list for sure.
Yeah, when I was in Philadelphia, I partied with Ben Simmons.
Yeah, that's right. You were also you were there with B Rich and those guys.
the TBT team.
Yeah.
Yeah, we made it to the Sweet 16 there in Philly, and we hung out with Ben after our loss, and Mike Bibby, who was on our team. But yeah, it was pretty fun.
Big Mike, baby.
Bibby tried to reopen a strip club for us.
Oh yeah.
Like we literally got there as it was closing, and the strippers were making their way to the cars and stuff. And Mike's like, "Come on, let's just go back inside. I'll pay." Didn't work though. I thought that would have been absolutely legendary.
Yeah, it would have been.
If you'd pulled that off, that's pretty legendary.
It seemed like some of the women who would have had a slow night would have been interested in going back inside.
Yeah, why not? I mean, if he's offering to pay, like, why not?
Yeah.
You know,
What are you rushing home to?
I don't know. You said you date a stripper, so maybe they're rushing home to you.
They better. Yeah, you better.
But I think instead
Extended
of date,
hours is
I think
bad
instead
news.
of date, you actually meant serve as a pimp for. That's funny though.
All right,
But yeah, good luck in Philadelphia, man.
Yeah, I'll need it. We'll see about next week, and if we do have a show, we're supposed to have Zay Tariq and Mike Butler, maybe, right?
Yeah.
So, but we'll figure that out. You guys
All
have
right.
been on the bench. See you guys next time.
We're out.